How's it going, everybody? I'm here to give you a video review of the new Benedict Cumberbatch movie, which is called The Thing with Feathers. This movie has been labelled as a psychological thriller. However, I think if you go into this movie expecting a thriller, you're going to be sorely disappointed. I would definitely class this film as a psychological horror movie, and I have said many times that a horror film or any movie that focuses on the mental health of people is like some of the scariest films that you could ever watch. And when they're done metaphorically, you know, I think that they're incredible pieces of work. And this is no different. This is really a powerful film. Now, I will say before I start that this film is about loss, losing a loved one, and about the acceptance of unable to accept the loss and the acceptance of loss. And I think this film could be very triggering to certain viewers, especially people who have recently lost a loved one. So please be aware of that going into the movie. So let's get stuck straight in to what it's about. Very simplistic story. The story is told in I think four segments. We have Dad, Crow, Sons, and Demon. I think that is the chronological order of it. So the first one is Dad, and we get thrown straight into the moments after the funeral of Benedict Cumberbatch's wife. He is only known as Dad in the film, and he is sitting with his sons. All the curtains are closed in the house, and he says something to the sons like, "You've done really, really well today," meaning that they were strong at their mother's funeral. And he puts them to bed, and this is where I think extraordinary filmmaking is happening, because we know this is a film about mental health, but I think in the first 5 minutes of this movie, I think the director does a fantastic job at putting the viewer into the mind of the bereaved. Is that the right word? um, Benedict Cumberbatch, and I will explain why. These are minor spoilers, but I'm not giving anything away. I'm just going to explain the scene and why it hit hard for me. So he puts his sons to bed, and he comes downstairs, and he absolutely breaks down. The lighting in the house doesn't get any better throughout the movie. It is shot very, very darkly, even to the point where a lot of the characters' faces, you're only seeing half of them. It's wonderful from a filmmaking aspect. It is it's powerful stuff. So the next morning he gets up, and this morning should be just a normal morning. They do it every single day, but this is really the first day that he is going down to sit and have breakfast with his children without his wife. Like, his wife has probably been dead for a few days, but the wife has just been buried, and it's finally starting to hit him that he has lost his wife, that she is gone forever. And usually I'd imagine that the morning breakfasts in the household were chaotic but full of fun, and we learn very early on how much this wife actually done, especially during, like, for the kids. So he comes downstairs. The kids are looking for some cereal. He pours the cereal into a bowl. He goes into the fridge because he realizes there's no milk, but his wife's milk, her soya milk, is right there. And we are seeing we are seeing this sort of through his eyes. He looks. There's a shot then of the table where there's only two little sets of legs under the table, and then an empty chair. And it's heartbreaking because it's really starting to hit him. Benedict Cumberbatch is extraordinary. He is so good in this. Then they go upstairs to brush their teeth, and they all lift the toothbrushes out, and there's one toothbrush left. And it sounds so simplistic, but it is so effective. So basically, in a nutshell, Benedict Cumberbatch is like a comic book writer or a graphic novel artist, and he starts to come up with this character, and it's a crow, and then all of a sudden this character that he has drawn manifests into this, like, I'm going to say, like a 6 foot humanoid crow. It is the stuff of nightmares. And that's pretty much when the crow comes out. That's when we go into the second segment of the story. And the crow is voiced by David Thewlis. I think that's his second name. Who was most famously known, I know him from a lot of stuff, but he's most famously known, I think, for the Harry Potter movies. And this crow, at first, you would think is so evil, and it's like, leave this poor guy alone. And we're well aware that it's inside his head, but the crow isn't really evil. And I'm pretty sure that the crow in this movie represents grief. The crow is grief. And although the crow is pushing Benedict Cumberbatch to the edge of sanity and really making him spiral out of control, and everybody's thinking that he's going crazy, this crow is also pushing the stuff that he is unable to accept out into the open to make him face it. That's why I think the crow is grief. And so the crow, in a way, is a really good person told from a really dark and sinister point of view. Then we go into the third chapter. The third chapter is sons or boys, and that's told then from the boys' point of view, where they're looking at their dad's mental state unravel. And the third or fourth installment is called Demon, and I'm not going to go into that, but I think I understand what is going on here, and I understood the movie perfectly. I think so anyway. I could be wrong, but I know what the final demon represents as well, and I loved the ending. So it's a very triggering movie. It's not going to be for everybody. I would even call it like art house a lot of the time. But Benedict Cumberbatch is a tremendous actor. I've been a fan of his since like the Imitation Game in 2013 or 2014, and yeah, I'll watch anything. I'm not a big fan of Marvel movies, but I'm like, yeah, go get that money, Benedict. And he was Doctor Strange, I'm sure you know, and this really pulls him back into like character acting on like a Daniel Day-Lewis scale. So from a filmmaking point of view, I thought this was shot wonderfully. The cinematography is wonderful. The direction is wonderful. The lighting is wonderful. And the sound design is incredible. The one thing I did notice, and the one thing I do look out for in a lot of movies, is the color palette of a film. And with Fellers, I started to see a reoccurring pattern in coats, in walls, everywhere. And that color was green and also black. So I think the two, again, I could be wrong, but I think that was the two main colors in the color theme in that movie. And I went and I Googled it. I wouldn't know off the top of my head what these colors represent in movie, but I know if everything that we see in a shot means something if it's on screen. So I've got my laptop here, and I do have this pre-prepared for once. And I am going to tell you what green and black represent in movies. Are you ready? I was so right. Where are we? I've even. This is like sort of like my half review here. The color theme inside the house is black and green, and then I say, ask Google the meaning behind these colors. So black represents grief, represents mourning, an emotional void, isolation, or being swallowed by circumstances, and the finality, the end of a relationship, life, or identity, hopelessness of or a character feeling. Hopelessness of a character feeling and closed off. Black often frames the world as small, suffocating, or empty. So every single one of those things is what that movie is about. And if it wasn't intentional, then it's an accidental genius move. So dark green in a film represents decay, emotional rot, or something once alive, now dying. Stagnation, a character stuck in their pain, unable to move forward. Envy or bitterness. Nature fading, a life that's gone, a connection severed. Sickness, physical or psychological. So I am super impressed that I was, well, Google done this, but this is what makes this film so great. People may look at this and not pick up on those little tiny details where I understand it. I really do. And that's why I love cinema so much, because what we're seeing would just go over a lot of people's heads. But if it's in the shot, if there's a color there, that color represents something. And the main colors throughout this movie, the main reoccurring color theme is green and black, and that's what it represents. That was the internet that told me that, so I am right. So, guys, yes, the color or the thing with fellers is an incredible watch. It's not going to be for everybody. It's, you know, a film buff's dream, because I've been very into like sound and, as I say, the color, the acting, just the cinematography, absolutely everything. And this film is so minimalistic, but does all of these things so, so well. And that is my review of the thing with fellers. I can't. Oh, actually, I do have to say one more thing. Sort of off topic. All the performances in this movie are really good. Benedict is. I think it's the best I've ever seen him, and that's saying something. Also, the little two kids done an absolutely incredible job, as did the supporting cast. But I do have to give one person a shout out, and that is the fantastic Leo Bill, who plays the psychologist in this movie. Now, he doesn't have a big role, but as soon as I seen his name come up on screen, I was like, oh my god, there is Leo Bill. Leo Bill is an incredible actor. He starred in a movie which is also about the deterioration of mental health, and that is called The Living and the Dead by Simon Rumley from 2008. That film is terrifying, again, because of mental illness, not because it's a horror movie. It is very much a horror movie, but a horror movie of the mind. So I have not, after I watched The Living and the Dead, I was like, this guy is going to be in some fantastic, huge roles in the future. And I really haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I know he was in, I think he was like the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland. Uh, he was also in a small supporting role in the Tom Hardy series Taboo. And yeah, he was in this. So I just wanted to give a little shout out to Leo Bill, just in the hopes that maybe he might see this. So Leo Bill, you rock. Benedict Cumberbatch, you've done a fantastic job. I'd love to get an interview with you or Leo. And if you haven't checked out The Thing with Fellers, please do. And also that movie I just mentioned again, or at the end, which is called The Living and the Dead. The Living and the Dead, very quickly, is about a mentally unstable young man played by Leo Bill, who locks the home help out of this big decaying mansion where his sick mother is bedridden. The husband his father had to go to London to try and get money for medical treatment to care for his wife, and he thinks he can look after his mother, and he can't. And that's what the movie's about. The mother can't get out of bed, and he's forgetting to take his medication, and there is a descent into complete psychological mayhem. And it's such a wonderful film. But anyway, guys, that is it. 15 minutes. That is my review for The Thing with Fellers. I hope I have picked up on some stuff that people haven't been talking about yet. And I would highly recommend this, but please do approach The Thing with Fellers with caution, especially if you're going to watch it with someone who has recently lost somebody, because it's a hard hitter. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you like the video, hit the follow button or hit the subscribe button, because I will be doing more of these. And yeah, have a good day. Bye-bye. Oh, bye bye.